I don't know.
Oh, you can write your name with it. Probably one of the most useless tools I have ever seen in my life.
I've been seeing a bunch of videos online about these new handheld laser welders, so when XLaserLab reached out to me and asked if I wanted my own, of course I was really excited to try it. Now I've got my own MIG welder that I've owned for about 15 years and I'm not bad at it. I would definitely call myself an amateur welder. I get by, but I'm not great. So when I need something welded really well, I either take it to a professional TIG welder or I just bring it over to my dad's house. He's been welding since he was in high school and has tried just about every welder out there, so perfect opportunity to bring something new. Let's see if we can teach an old dog some new tricks. I'm sure we'll burn some holes in something. I brought all the laser stuff over to my dad's house so he can check it out, and he's been a welder for, what, 40 years as a hobby?
I started off with stick welding, which is tough. It's hard, it's dirty, it's smoky, and it scared the hell out of everybody. I was the best welder in my class because the other kids were so afraid of the arc welder that I did all their projects, and so everybody got an A.
All right, I got this giant.
Whoa.
Here it is. It's like a little laser gun.
Yeah, just some of the things that I learned about it briefly was you can do things with just the laser, but then you can also do like a wire feed setup. Allows you to do metal, and then we're told that it'll do aluminum. Is that correct? Because that's a big ask.
Yeah, I bought a little roll of aluminum, so we'll see if that works. I've never welded aluminum in my entire life. I've always wanted to learn to TIG weld, but it's a lengthy process of education that you have to really be committed to because it really is an art form. So we'll see if we can weld some aluminum together if we have time for that. So they've given us a welding mask as well to go with our safety goggles. I think this probably has the laser, yes, laser for welding and cutting.
You can see right through it. The ones like we have over there on the wire feed, they're super dark and it's hard to see. The thing that I hope with this is that we can see what we're doing more, because that way we can kind of control things and do a better weld. It just looks too easy. I'm a little dubious.
It's definitely one of those things that feels a little bit gimmicky, a little bit too good to be true, but I think what they've done here is just harnessed something really new and powerful, and this could possibly be the future of welding, so that's why I'm really excited to try it. Here's the wire spool. This is pretty important. This is your wire feed. So we got a whole bunch of different tips here. I'm not sure what all of this stuff does.
Here, let me model these for you.
The one that is on the laser right now is the one I've seen everyone else using in the videos. It seems like that's just for the typical welding stuff.
You know, the build looks really good to me. I mean, the casing and everything looks pretty heavy, and literally it is heavy. It's, it's a chunk.
We'll rip that protective coating off and we'll officially start this. Nice. All right, so the thing is powered on. I've got the wire feed set to on. I don't think we need the continuous gas. If I hit that button, you can hear gas starting to escape out of the gun over there. So maybe we'll pause on that for now. I think it's automatic, but then we also need to figure out what metal. You think SUS is steel?
Gosh, I don't know, that's not obvious. You would think it'd say steel.
There's plenty of room to say steel, so there's probably steel and stainless steel. I figure AL is probably aluminum.
That's a good guess.
Will it weld? All right, so SUS stands for steel use stainless. So stainless steel, this is just mild steel that we're using, so maybe that's what CS is, common steel?
Your guess is as good as mine. There's a couple of pieces of flat steel, and actually pretty thin. We're gonna work our way up though. We got some angle iron here, so we can kind of play around. We could take and put this in here and do a weld like this, a couple shots. But I think what we'll do to start, make it simple, is set it up like this. Just take a travel right through here.
You got a fire extinguisher?
Yeah, there's one right over there. And then we get the panic button. It's all set to go, so we'll keep that nearby.
I'm excited. Let's try this freaking thing. So I'm gonna try to weld these two things together. I'll stand on this side.
Yeah.
And what I've seen some guys do is just do something like this.
Well, set your ground. Your ground is normally black, not red.
Here goes nothing. So you ready to try it? I don't know.
If you like to modify it. Whoa, it's working.
Okay. Oh, wait, I'm going the wrong way. I gotta go towards me.
Drag it. Yeah. What are you thinking? Wow.
The weld doesn't look great. Probably have our settings messed up here.
Yeah, but it was working.
It's welded together. It just isn't a very nice looking weld yet. So we should probably work on that.
You know, it's funny, it doesn't get hot. I mean, if you had an arc welded this or you used a torch, I would be burning my fingers right now. And it's only been 10 seconds since you stopped welding. Well, what we can do is we can take the hammer and see if we can break it. Yeah.
That welded it together.
That's welded.
I think we should try again with the different settings. Let's flip it over or weld another piece. We should have had it on CS for carbon steel. The problem I'm having right now is our spool, our wire here, has so much memory in it that it's bending the wire to the side, and the laser beam is missing it. I'm like hitting the metal and it's melting the metal, but the wire isn't in the line of the laser beam. So I need to figure out if I need to move this thing around. There you go.
That's a lot.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, that looks a lot more correct.
It sounded angry.
All right, so Dad's gonna try it now. I kind of got him squared up here on what exactly he should do. Let me get my spectacles on here. Fire away.
Yeah, I got a little weld, but look how smooth that is. It's not like your usual stacked nickels. I can see the potential of this thing so far. I mean, God, it's really low profile, and if you can hold it straight. Let me try it one more time.
I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at our little guys that they gave us for, you know, some examples. No, this is
That is sick.
pretty dang good.
I think we should try to make something.
Was that right?
Yeah.
You're getting pretty cocky for one day into it.
Let's make something. So we got the farm truck here, and I've always wanted to make a spare tire carrier that holds my tire vertically in the back of the truck.
All right.
Let's try and make one.
How about we go to the drawing board real quick and just draw up what you think you want.
Good idea. I made a few drawings in there, finally got it kind of figured out. So what we're gonna try to do is it's basically a cube that the tire is gonna sit in, so you'll be able to roll the tire up into the bed of the truck. This thing kind of locks it in. You can throw a ratchet strap over it, and then it will hold the tire vertically in the bed of the truck. And I'm not 100% sure on the measurements yet. We're just gonna start, putting the tape measure down and cutting stuff. Hopefully we have enough steel. I'm sure the welding will go great, that's for sure.
It's a little different than this. All I'm doing is I'm taking this and going straight down. So I will use less metal.
Okay, yeah, because we don't have a ton of it.
Yeah, so I would think these two, let's just call these two goal posts right here and this base, having these come down straight to there, that'll hold it.
So the thing with fabrication is usually you end up using a heck of a lot more material than you think you're gonna use. We don't have a ton. I think we probably have 15 feet or so, and it might not be enough to do my original idea, my original design. So we're kind of trying to minimize this and just make it a little bit smaller and simpler, which will also give me more room in the bed because I don't want this gigantic contraption in there if I don't need it to be huge.
Yeah, more is less.
All right.
So 2 stands here and then 2 blocks here. That should be it. What do you think? Simple enough?
Yeah. So we just got our base all cut up. It's basically a rectangle. I'm gonna try welding this together here. I think I'll just start by tacking the corners. Yeah, this should go really fast, I have a feeling.
I'm so comfortable in this apron.
It looks good. I don't think mine's fireproof whatsoever. It's just, for looks. All right. Not quite as foolproof as I originally anticipated, but it's going. It's a tiny little learning curve here.
So one of the big differences here is if you were using a wire feed or a stick welder, your skin would be cooked by the end of the day.
I figured out about halfway through trying to tack this stuff that I had forgot to turn the wire feed on. The default setting is just for the wire feed to be off. I forgot that you gotta click the little button because I kept just burning holes basically in the middle of the weld trying to bridge these, like tack them together, and couldn't figure out what the problem was. But yeah, all it was the wire feed just wasn't turned on.
It was just wire. It wasn't feed.
Yeah, it was just melting everything together. So now I'm gonna try to actually weld this.
Had to do this one by force.
That looks great.
I think that we might be onto something here. I kind of been burnt on other welders that I have, and I need to bring out this one as we get time to show you that this goofy freaking one that somebody gave me, and I tried it, and I basically was about ready to put it in the toilet because it didn't do anything. If anybody ever comes looking for a welder and they come at you with one of these, give it back to them. This is the Saker, probably one of the most useless tools I have ever seen in my life. That is so freaking bright. That's the kind of shit that will blind you. So I can't see anything of what I'm doing. I don't have my mask on, but I'm just kind of feeling it.
Holy cow, look how beautiful that weld is.
That's hot. It just went through all that.
Our box is done. Well, I guess it's a rectangle, so we're gonna start cutting the uprights and weld those up. This should go pretty quick. So far, I'm having so much fun. It just makes me really excited to weld and to learn more and get better and better at it. And I gotta be honest, like my level of expertise when it comes to welding is probably like a 2 or a 3. Like I barely get by on the MIG welder, but this makes me feel like I'm more at like an 8 out of 10. The welds look crazy, and I feel like after a few weeks of playing around with this thing, we'll be looking like professionals. Probably the hardest thing about fabricating is getting all your cuts nice, and sometimes that just doesn't happen. So we're almost done here. We saved the best for last. I got kind of a bad cut that we did, and I'm gonna see if I can fill this thing in with the welder. I've been using the pulse mode once in a while, which is really cool because it kind of spits out a bunch of metal and it builds up the metal really easily, but just turning up the wire feed definitely seems to help as well, getting some of these huge gaps filled. Like this is massive. This is like a 1/4 inch.
I was very impressed with a lot of the welds. We spent a half a day on this, and we went from starters, sandlot to almost pro style, and back.
We're getting pretty good at it. And I think the thing I liked about it the most is it makes me excited to weld. It was really fun playing around with this thing and seeing the welds, and you feel really good when you get a good weld. And having that excitement is important because that'll make me want to weld with it more and more often, and you'll get better and better. So I'm looking forward to using this thing more. I think I'm gonna take this home and use the cleaning feature and see what it looks like after I burn all this rust off before I paint it.
I think that it's a game changer. I really do. And one of the comments was the store that we go to get welding supplies, they never even heard of it. So these are coming on strong. I think you should check it out.
Awesome, well thanks for your help. If you ever need to borrow it, just let me know.
Yeah, I gotta go do the dishes now, so I'd like to keep this apron though if I can.
Sure thing.
Thanks everybody, and always, you know what, dads out there? Work with your kids, have fun with your kids. This has been the best day of my year so far, and I know it's only the 17th of January, but we had so much fun.
Yesterday, my dad and I did a pretty good job of giving this laser welder a good shakedown, but we probably could have done better if we had watched some of the tutorial videos on XLaserLab's website and also just spent more time reading the directions. That's kind of my bad. I was just really excited to get into it and kind of in a hurry. We definitely did not have the PSI turned up high enough on the gas. It was only about 10 and it should be at least 30 is what it says. And we were also trying to weld some pretty significant pieces of steel with what is basically the thinnest wire you can buy. I accidentally had some 0.8 and didn't really know much about welding. That is like the smallest. We're trying to fill some pretty big gaps and things like that with very tiny wire. So I'm gonna try another crack at it now, but I'm gonna do some aluminum this time. I'm really excited to weld aluminum because a lot of automotive stuff is fabricated from aluminum. It's a really cool metal, and I've never been able to weld it since I don't TIG weld, but this thing is about to change that. So we're gonna do something really simple first, and I wanna make a welding cart for this so that all of these wires and everything can all be in one place, including the wire feed and the gas bottle. So we'll make a little cube-like thing that holds all of this and try testing out how it welds aluminum, see if I can figure that out. So really excited for that. Another thing that's been a little bit of a pain is the wire feed is only designed to work with larger spools, I think like 5 or 10 pound spools. So these little 1 pound ones don't really fit on there. I ended up taking off part of the plastic piece that it sits on, and if you drill it out to, I don't know what this is, 3/4 of an inch, it slides over the metal part, and that seems to be working. Also, when you're putting a new spool in the wire feeder, I would definitely recommend trying to push as much manually through it with your hands as you can before actually using the motorized part. It would just take forever because it only moves a couple millimeters per second. Also, it's important, we found out, that you need to make sure this laser is pointing directly at the wire, because that's basically how it works. If the wire is kind of leaning to one side, you can see mine's leaning to the left a little bit. I'm not sure if it's bent or something, but that's okay because you can adjust that on the welder. So let's give this thing a test shot and see how it goes. Burned a hole right through my rug. Seems like it missed the wire or burned right through it, one of the two. Basically just burned a giant hole in it. So I originally kind of thought this thing was foolproof, but it seems like there's a lot more settings and things that you need to do. We tried 100 and it just burned a hole pretty much right through it, so I started turning it down. I went to 20 and it just stacked the wire on itself, so that's good. So we're gonna find somewhere in the middle. I just tried 50 and it didn't look bad. Let's try 60. I think we're looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm getting pretty excited because I think I'm starting to get this figured out now and getting it dialed in. A lot of things depend on figuring out what the settings do so that you can manipulate that weld to look different. And now it's welding some pretty nice welds. So we're gonna weld some stuff together now. I'm pretty pumped. So the idea here for my welding cart, there will be a box here that holds up the welder, probably not so high as this, maybe a little bit lower, and then also another box down below that holds the wire feed, and then also it will protrude long enough so that this will also be supported just like I have for my MIG welder that I built. So I think I can do a much better job. The welds are gonna look a heck of a lot better. Hopefully we have enough aluminum. I bought 16 feet of aluminum. It'll probably be enough, we'll see. The cutting feature wasn't really working for me. I probably just didn't have it set up right. It didn't seem powerful enough, but I just ended up resorting to my favorite aluminum cutting tool. Is one of these circular wood saws with the wood blade on it. Surprisingly does a really good job at cutting aluminum. You would never think it. So I got a bunch of pieces cut out here, all the sides for my different squares. We're gonna try welding these together, and then you'll start to see this welding cart slowly come to life. The boxes are all finished up and there's a lot of crappy welds on here, but I'm okay with that because there's also a couple of really good ones, which means I'm starting to figure this out. And a lot of the issues I'm having are either coming from the wire feed jamming, which is probably also my fault, but also the nozzle not being used properly. It's very important that that wire comes out in the exact correct place, otherwise the weld isn't gonna work. And there's kind of this blatantly obvious notch here that the wire is supposed to go between that I haven't really been using effectively. So I did a couple more test welds and they're looking pretty good, so I'm gonna cut the verticals for this thing and we'll see if I can finally nail a couple of these welds on here. All right, this thing is starting to look like a welding cart. I can't wait to put all this stuff on it for the first time and get it all organized. This welder is definitely pretty simple. Once you get it all figured out, all you really have to do, and it's just like regular MIG welding or TIG welding, is make sure that you're consistent. You gotta find the right speed. You gotta make sure you go in a straight line. There's a lot of human error type things like that that can play into it. Because once you start turning a little bit or something, it's a lot harder than it sounds to go in a straight line. But anyways, I've got some 1/4 inch aluminum rod. I'm gonna see if I can bend them kind of in a U shape to make little eyelets that I can weld onto here and use with some lashing straps that will hold the welder and the tank from tipping over to keep that from happening. So we'll see if that works out, and then we just need to bolt some casters on here. All right, these things don't look too pretty, but they're definitely on there. We'll see how hard we can wrench them down before I break one off, but wasn't trying to be in too much of a hurry, but I'm definitely ready to be done with this thing and put it all together. This would be a difficult thing to weld with any welder. You know, you'd have to really get in there with a TIG welder to make it look nice. I'm not even sure if I could have done that on the MIG because these are so small. Yeah, I mean, this thing's not bad. All in all, I think my laser welding cart turned out pretty good. I've got hooks and things for all the little accessories. I've got a spot for my tank back here, which is really cool. And of course, I even mounted the included welder handle holder thing to the cart. So that's all nice and looking kind of OEM plus. Usually on the MIG welder, there's only 2 or 3 wires coming out of it, and this has a lot of wires with the different lockout emergency things and, you know, the wire feed being detached from the actual unit. So there's a lot going on here, and that's kind of one of the only downsides of this. Also, it used a lot of gas. I actually ended up running out of gas. I wanted to have my wife try the welder, and unfortunately, I don't feel like driving out and getting some more right now. Stuff can be kind of expensive, but my overall experience was really good. And I think the biggest thing was it makes welding really fun, and at least there's the perception that it's a little bit easier, especially because you can weld aluminum, which I've never been able to do before in my life. I think after the 3 days, I've definitely kind of figured it out and figured out the little quirks and things to get this thing working properly, and it makes me really pumped to use it more and more. So, am I prepared to weld, you know, the compressor housing on my turbo? Maybe not quite. I might do something a little bit easier, like make a catch can or, you know, an overflow tank or something that if it leaks a little bit, it's not gonna be a day-ending thing at the track. I do wanna use this thing more and more and try all kinds of different metals. It would be cool to try to weld some stainless or some titanium. But for now, I think we gave it a really good shakedown, and I hope everybody really enjoyed this and saw what the perspective was like, you know, from a person who doesn't weld all the time and just knows a tiny little bit. Hopefully that was a little bit more relatable than some of these professionals who I've seen weld with these things and they fire the thing up for the first time and their weld is perfect. But thanks so much for watching. I want to get a few more people to try this out, so I might even bring it to my buddy Travis, who's a professional TIG welder. He was just out of town this week, and yeah, maybe we'll get my wife on this thing here pretty soon. Other than that, just want to remind you all, check your polarizer.